So, having discussed the status of Jews from the Soviet Union and from Ethiopia, now we want to move on to discuss the status of a certain sect of Indian Jews called the Bnei Israel Jews. So, we're not talking about the Jews from Baghdad or from Cochin, which are clearly established as communities which had Rabbanim and a long tradition. But this is a third category of Jews from India called the Bnei Israel Jews. And there has been a discussion in the last 150 years or so, specifically in the last 50 years, 100 years or so, with regards to their status. Firstly, their Jewish identity, and secondly, whether it's permissible to marry with them. So, what seems to be is that about 1900 or 17, between 1900 to 1700 years ago, they were a group of Jews who were exiled either from Israel or from Yemen, one of the two, and they ended up in outskirts of India, and they were cut off from the rest of Am Israel. And so, as time went on, they forgot the mitzvot, and they lost their tradition. And so, although they were very dedicated to Torah, but they had a very simple and basic knowledge of Torah, and they ended up losing lots of the Mesorah of Am Israel. And about 200 years ago, some of them started to arrive in Baghdad, and the question then began to discuss, what is their status? So, firstly, with regards to the Jewish identity, that is almost basically accepted by all that they have the status of Jews. So, there was someone called Rabbi Yaakov Sapir. He was born in 1820 or so, and he was a student of the Vilna Gaon. And the Vilna Gaon, as we know, he sent some students to Eretz Israel, and he was one of them to go to Israel. And at a young age, around in his 20s, he ended up being a shaliach, an emissary for collecting tzedakah for the yeshiva and for the institutions in Israel. And he had a very colorful life, and he wrote about them. He went around to Egypt, Yemen, Singapore, even Australia he managed to get to. He writes that he even met some of the convicts, Jewish convicts, because they used to send from Britain the Jewish convicts to Australia. And he collected many ideas and stories. He even wrote a book and dedicated it to Sir Moses and Lady Montefiore because of their charitable donations to Eretz Israel. He called it Shemesh Tzedakah, the son of righteousness. And one of the places he ended up going to was meeting this Bnei Israel community. And this was about 160 years ago. And he writes very clearly that it's clear to him that they are Zera Israel, that they are Jewish people. They don't mix with everyone else. But he says they don't. So they're Jewish. They have some of the traditions, and based on that, we can assume that they are Jewish and accept them as Jewish people. And this basically was accepted by all in terms of their Jewish identity. And that's not the main question here with regards to the Bnei Israel. The bigger issue, though, which he writes is that I see is that they do some form of kiddushin, they do some form of marriage, but they don't do gittin. They've forgotten how to do Jewish divorce. They just when a woman wants to get divorced, they just send her out of the house. There's no written document, unlike the Torah says you have to write a get. And therefore, perhaps there is a potential of mamzerut here, because of course, if you get married and you don't get divorced according to halacha, and then you marry someone else, so then that child from the second relationship will create a mamzer. And so the major question which was discussed was with regards to their status, are they considered mamzerim? Can you marry them? And that's a question which the Rabbanut dealt with extensively, which next time we will discuss.